I played every single Stronghold game, so you wouldn't have to. Or maybe you should. But which one? 2 years ago, I challenged myself to play every Stronghold game because I've only played Stronghold 1 and Stronghold Crusader back in the day, and I never got the chance to play other games in the series. So I always thought, what did I miss? In this video, I'm going to rank every single Stronghold game, so at least you knew which ones are good ones, which ones are bad ones. Everything, of course, is going to be my subjective opinion. So let's start the tier list with the first game in the series, Stronghold 1. And honestly, it's a classic, everyone knows about it, or I think everyone knows about it. I'm not sure if this game was groundbreaking in any way when it came out, but to me personally, when I found it first, back when I was still a kid, it was groundbreaking. It was completely new mechanics, not something I was used to playing games like Age of Empires. So it definitely was a new, unique experience, and I loved how much detail there is in the game when you're trying to simulate castle life. And I have to say I have some bias because, nostalgia is a very, very strong drug. But honestly, now that I think about it, the game wasn't perfect. I mean, nothing is. The game only had a handful of missions, not too much of extra content. Really, I wouldn't call it an S tier game or even A tier game, mostly because there was that one damn mission with the pig. I believe it was called End of the Pig. Probably everyone who's played Stronghold game back in the day or even recently knows what I'm talking about. I know that in the definitive edition they actually toned down that mission a little bit. They made it a little bit easier because even developers acknowledged how hard and how unforgiving that mission was. So I wouldn't say I'm downgrading the tier for this game to B just because of that mission, but honestly, lack of content was, I guess it was fine for those times, but looking with slightly more fresh eyes and also being able to see the bigger perspective of all games, I would say it fits right into B, although I guess it would be borderline between A and B, and I bet some people would say that it is S, complete S. But one thing I did like about that game was the gradual progress. I really enjoyed how the game doesn't give you everything right away and you actually have to progress through missions to unlock better things, new things, better units. Although, to be fair, since there wasn't that much of content, having such a very slow start, because I believe up to mission 5 or 6 you barely had anything to work with, mostly just archers and spearmen. I could be wrong though, it's been a while. Considering how little content there was in that game and how slow the start is, I guess it doesn't help. But yeah, like my verdict is B. I guess, a lot of people might not agree with me because I know a lot of people consider this game a classic, a true classic, the beginning of everything. But let's move on to Crusader. That's probably the game I've played the most. Not probably, it is definitely the game I've played the most. It actually came out very soon after the first game, so there wasn't a huge gap, and it kind of, when you think about it, it kind of felt like a DLC more than a separate game. Because it was just, it didn't have a campaign, it didn't have a story, first of all. But it did have quite a few missions. It had way more missions in the trails. I'm not sure when exactly the second trail came out, but even the first one, I believe, had 50 missions, which was, I think, double than what the first Stronghold did have. And it really is a classic. Stronghold 1, maybe not everyone knows about it. I mean, there might be people who don't know about it or who know, but they haven't really played it. But Crusader, well, I believe everyone has played that game. But if you take into consideration all the add-ons, all the changes they made to the game ever since, because there was Crusader HD, they added the second trail. Was there a third trail? Maybe. I'm not sure if there was a third trail, but yeah, later on they released Extreme, but well, I think Extreme is a separate game. I would call it a separate game at least, so that's why it's separate in this list. But yeah, I mean, Crusader is definitely the best game in the series, even today, so I would rate it a definite S. Now let's move on to Stronghold 2. This is the game where I actually stopped playing any Stronghold games, because when this game came out, I really wanted to play it. I was really excited. I mean, 3D graphics at the time, it was groundbreaking. It was a new technology, so I was really looking forward to play it. But unfortunately, my old PC that was secondhand couldn't run it. It was fairly hard to play it, and I actually read that there were quite a few people back then who were complaining how demanding the game was. So maybe, maybe it wasn't just me. But this is where the story ended for me. This is where I stopped playing Stronghold games. I did play Crusader a little bit after that still, but yeah, Stronghold 2 was where I stopped. And once I played it, when I played it like 2 years ago, when I started playing it, or a year ago, I was actually quite surprised. Well, to be fair, it is probably the worst looking Stronghold game. I mean, even compared to Stronghold 1, Stronghold Crusader, Stronghold 2, well, I mean, 3D graphics really aged like milk. They don't look great. Even Steam Edition, which probably polished a lot of things, still doesn't look that great in today's standards. I would say Stronghold 2 probably is the game that has the most character in the series, at least after I've played all of them. I feel like Stronghold 2 was the most memorable for me, even though I played Crusader way more. Stronghold 2 felt like it had that like recipe. Stronghold 2, in my opinion, was great because it had a lot of old things from the first games, so it didn't feel too alien, too weird. On the other hand, this game had the most amount of innovation. It had so many new features. It had crime, it had gong, it had rats, it had feasts, it had jousting, and it had estates. Yeah, this game was brim with new features. This game didn't have too many missions. It didn't have a lot of content, just like the first game. That's probably because there was so much new stuff, because it was 3D. It was, it probably took way more space to have all that crammed into a CD. So I don't blame developers for not putting too much content into it. And to be fair, all the new features were quite a big thing. So yeah, the game didn't have too much content. Also, the game didn't have a good story. To be fair, the story was it wasn't that great. It really wasn't great. It had a lot of goofiness, but that's probably why it wasn't so bad, because the game, it didn't feel like the game took itself too serious. There were a lot of goofy jokes, even childish jokes. I guess that's why the game has character, because it wasn't trying to be serious. It wasn't trying to be funny, so it kind of was everything at the same time. The voice acting was usually not great, but it also is what made the game so memorable, why it was so funny. So yeah, that added character for sure. Also, what's up with the choices in the story? I mean, it felt like they were trying to, I'm not sure when the whole thing in gaming started, where games suddenly had to have different choices to make you feel like you're choosing the side, like you're deciding your own future. But that kind of felt rushed. It didn't feel like it was organic. It kind of felt weird. The story kind of felt weird. But also, I don't blame developers for trying something new. And to be fair, the story was way more involving than the story in the first game. The first game had a story. It wasn't crazy good, but I feel like the second game had a more involving story. So to be fair, I actually Would love to see Stronghold 2 to be remastered. That'd be actually great. That'd be awesome. I don't know if that's even possible because 3D probably is harder to remaster than 2D, but who knows. But if they remaster this game, and if they kept most of the things, did some quality of life improvements, graphics were, modern, I probably would rate this A. Probably not S, but definitely A. But now I'm gonna have to go with B, rating B. Okay, now we came to Stronghold Legends. To be fair, when I started playing this game, I didn't like it. I didn't like how different it was. I didn't like how it went from being realistic to being fantasy. And, well, I don't know, the first couple missions in the game, the campaign, felt hard. I actually got stuck very early in the game in a campaign, Arthur campaign, where I was being attacked by those vampiric creatures, vampires, and they kept taking control of my units, and I had no idea how to fight them. I was just not having fun. Then I had to play against Ice Faction, and the giants kept demolishing my defenses. I was like, what is this game? But eventually, after a couple more missions, I started to get the hang of it, and I started to understand that this game is not a regular Stronghold game. Yes, it does have units just like in Stronghold 1, Crusader 2, but the biggest focus was actually on unique units, and honestly, this is where the game shines. I feel like this game is the one that has the most amount of replayability, especially in multiplayer, because there are different factions, so each faction has different units, each faction has different buildings, different traps, different everything, and you have to know what counters what. It's not like you just spam a bunch of archers, you spam a bunch of horse archers, and you just go and demolish your enemy. No, there are different units for different types, and you have to counter them with some specific units. And honestly, I really started liking that thing. I really, like, the game grew on me. Unfortunately, with some of the good things came also some bad things. I feel like Stronghold Legends, maybe even Stronghold 2, but Legends probably was the first game in the series where we started having issues. We had lots of crashes, lag. Even on modern system, the game doesn't run that well. You can feel the lag, you can even see the lag. If you go back and watch my videos, if you watch my playthrough of Stronghold Legends, you can actually notice how low the FPS is, and I was playing that game not on a old PC or anything, and that was on Steam version 2, which was somewhat polished too. And then there were some crashes, especially there was one specific mission in Evil campaign where my game just kept crashing every couple minutes. It was very painful to keep saving the game every minute or so just to not crash, and I still kept crashing, and I still kept forgetting to save and losing some progress. That was not the easiest mission too. Then there was that one mission, I think it was the last or maybe one before the last one, mission in Evil campaign as well, where you had to attack with an army a big castle, and the problem was I didn't know the exact route, I didn't know the exact strategy I had to do, so it took me a lot of trial and error, which is probably why I never really liked siege missions in Stronghold, and I believe a lot of people don't like those in the game, in the series. But that specific mission, that particular mission, was painful because the only way to do it, the only way I found how to beat that mission, and the only way I saw other people beat that mission was basically by pretty much cheesing, by doing a very slow method of clearing enemies one by one from distance. That was painful. Still, overall, I think this game is also, it also has character. I mean, there was a story, kind of. I don't think whether, yeah, there were some cutscenes, not the greatest quality, of course, but yeah, the game did have a very big character, and it actually stands out even more than Stronghold 2, because Stronghold 2, it had a lot of features, it had a lot of innovation. Whereas Legends, it kind of took most of it, most of those innovations, and it actually expanded it. It expanded into an even different genre, which is why Stronghold Legends is probably one of the most unique games in the series. And, you know, if not the graphics, because graphics, once again, just like Stronghold 2, were very bad, even in Steam Edition. So if the game received a remaster, I hope it does get a remaster in a couple of years. So if this game gets a remaster, I will have to make a new tier list and I will have to play through it. And maybe it will end up in A, but for now, I think it's gonna be at tier B, just like Stronghold 2, for the same reasons, really. Performance, not too much. No, actually, this game did have more content. I give him that. It definitely was more expanded compared to Stronghold 2, but performance wasn't great, and the graphics, I mean, even today, especially today, they don't look that great. But this game is definitely, I would say, between A and B, so it's not a strict B, it's like in between. Okay, so this one, the next one, could be a little bit controversial. The reason is because I actually haven't really played Extreme that much. I did try it. I have to say I tried it at least 2 times, and I couldn't even beat the first mission. I don't know. Stronghold Crusader Extreme is definitely extreme. I know I've heard that people like that game. I've heard that people who were super into Crusader, they also loved Extreme, and I can't really say the same because I've tried it. It was just too much for me. It was too much. So I personally would rank it D. Not because it's a bad game. I don't know if it's a good game or bad game. Honestly, like, it has the same graphics as Crusader, so we can't really say anything bad about it. Same units, I believe. So the only thing is, it was just too tough for me. It was too hard. So I would say D. If I played more, if I was able to beat some things, maybe C. But yeah, for this one, it's gonna be D. And some of you might not like it, but it's just my opinion. Right, so the next one is Kingdoms. I didn't even know this game existed for quite some time. Only when I started doing all Stronghold games, I found out that this game even exists. And the thing is, this game, well, it came out quite a long time ago. It came out in 2011, 12, 13, something along those years. From what I understood, this game was a browser game, just like Travian. So I think this game came out around the time when those browser games were really on the rise, and they tried to jump into the same boat. But you know, I did play it a little bit the other day. I played it for 5 minutes. And honestly, like, I saw there's only 300 people that play this game on a daily basis on Steam, so definitely not the biggest game. But I feel like this game is just, you know, it's not meant for these times, this era. It also looks like it's more meant for mobiles now, mobile games. And, you know, if you knew anything about me, I'm not a big fan of mobile games. I don't think mobile games are games. I think they're just tools to extract as much money as possible. So for that reason, it goes to G. I mean, I don't even know if this game even belongs anywhere anymore. I'm actually surprised that this game even has still running servers. But yeah, it goes to G as garbage. We move on to Stronghold 3. I know that this game is the most hated game in the series. And I understand why. I definitely understand why this game is not liked by the fans, why that was a big letdown, but I still liked it. I mean, okay, I didn't like it enough to put it to tier A or even B, but I think it deserves a spot at rank C because, well, I just like the art style. First of all, I like the art style that they replaced those goofy looking animations, cutscenes with stylish cartoons, which, okay, maybe at first I wasn't a fan of those, but now that I think about it, it kind of fitted. The dark atmosphere was good in the game. The whole feel of the game was just like this old medieval time. I liked how they brought a new mechanic, weather, and they also brought the thing with the night. I think there was a mission where you had to light the fires to see the enemy armies attacking. I mean, why did they not keep this? Why did they not integrate that kind of a feature somehow somewhere else. I guess they were testing at this point. But of course, they downgraded a lot of things. They removed a lot of the features that were present in Stronghold 2. And also, this game came out 6 years after Stronghold 2 and 10 years or 11 years after Stronghold 1. Yet, it had almost the exact same amount of content or missions. Come on, I mean, you can definitely do better. Honestly, it feels like this game was more of a tech demo than an actual game. Maybe developers were trying something out. Maybe they were trying to see if they can, if they're gonna receive the game well and they're gonna, you know, push out more DLCs. Maybe that was their plan. I don't know. But to be fair, the story was, yeah, they kind of tried to bring back the wolf to make it feel like, you know, to appeal to the older audience, to the old fans. It was just short, you know, it was short. There was nothing much to attach to. There were no interesting characters, I wouldn't say, at least. And also, what's with the limitations? This game was probably the first game in the series where you actually felt limitations. The map sizes were ridiculously small. Like, what the hell? How am I supposed to cramp in so many things in such a small area? That was just not fun. And on top of that, to make it even worse, walls, building walls? What happened? How did you mess up? I think what happened, actually, since this game had, instead of having building snap in like, you know, squares and you snap them next to each other if you want, this is where you had possibility to move buildings around and place them however you wanted them. So I think that feature, that mechanic broke the walls. So yeah, the walls just didn't work. You couldn't place walls, you couldn't destroy walls, you couldn't place proper defenses. Not that there were many missions you could actually do that, but yeah, it just didn't work. And that is the focal point of the whole series, isn't it? Building a castle. So that feature didn't work. So overall, I would say I would rank this game C. I know a lot of people would say it belongs in G, garbage, it belongs in D, F, whatever. I still think it would have been a very cool project if they fixed the issues, if they worked a little bit longer. I feel like they just rushed. It feels like it was a rushed product that didn't live up to its expectation, and the expectation was probably very huge for a series like that. So yeah, definitely worse than Stronghold 2, but still, I still kind of enjoyed some of the things, some of the elements in the game. Okay, so Crusader 2, well, I don't know where to start. Honestly, this game was a mixture. It was like a balance between old and new, because it kind of had the same recipe as Stronghold Crusader, but it also added new things. It added new things from other series games. The problem is, it did kind of feel dumbed down still. It felt like, you know, after Stronghold 2, instead of moving forward, they started kind of stepping back. They kind of started doing some things backwards. Instead of adding things, they started taking things away. Maybe it's because of the engine, because honestly, Crusader 2 would be a great game if not performance. Oh my god, performance in this game was horrendous. Not only that, so performance was annoying, right? It's annoying to play. I had to disable autosave because it was impossible to play with it. But without it, I had to save myself because the game would crash. And not to mention having bigger fights, bigger attacks. That was pain. And on top of that, because of performance issues, the game had to be limited. Developers, I believe, limited unit count more than once. Unit limitations were so punishing, so painful. If I had to play a mission where I was 1 versus, what was the maximum? 6, 1 versus 7, 1 versus 8, whatever the maximum was, it always felt so grindy. You barely had enough units to be able to set up a proper defense, to defend yourself, and to have a attacking force. So my only strategy in the game was to get the knights, or what were they called? Knights. They were very expensive, but they were very tanky. So that was my only strategy in the game, and it sucked. You know, I wish there was a way to have bigger armies and to be able to maneuver a little bit better, to do more things. But yeah, this game really lacked in that aspect. On the other hand, there were quite a lot of missions. There were a few DLCs. I believe there were 4 DLCs. So, I mean, no wonder there was enough of content. So I'm not sure if you should count it, but I mean, I got that game. It came out, what, years ago, but I got it for $5-6, the whole thing with DLC. So not a bad thing, you know. But I would say this game belongs in B. I definitely would rate it higher if it didn't have performance issues, if it didn't have limitations. Moving on to Warlords. Okay, well, this is my most recent game I've played. I literally just finished it not long ago, and I have mixed feelings about this game. For one, I was really excited about playing this game because up till this game, expectations were growing. I was hoping that, you know, maybe finally developers, maybe Firefly Studios will finally be able to perfect the engine. Maybe they'll be able to fix the issues. Maybe there's going to be no lag. We have new technology, new graphics. Everything should be better, right? Well, not really. The game does look best. Compared out of all games, it looks best. I mean, it is the most up-to-date graphically, visually. But that's where it kind of ends. When it comes to story, what story? There is no story. There are a couple different campaigns with characters that nobody or not too many people know about, and there are no characters. I mean, who cares? You get 5 missions for some random dude from history. The fact that you jump in time in each mission and there's no attachment to any of those characters, I mean, why even bother with a story like this? At least Stronghold 1, Stronghold 2 had goofy stories, they had characters, they had memorable characters, Rat, Pig. I mean, everyone knows these guys, but when it comes to this game, yeah, I don't think anyone remembers them. And really, I was expecting this game to have no limits. I thought, you know, there's gonna be good graphics, big maps, big armies, no limitations. Nope. We once again have limitations for units. Why? Performance. Once again, performance issues were quite noticeable. They weren't as bad as they were in Stronghold Crusader 2, but they were there. And limitations, again, limitations every time you had bigger map with more enemies, enemy AI, you had to really pick what you want to build because you couldn't have a defense and offense, and you had to play with Warlords. That's actually a feature they tried to improve upon. They tried to improve on the feature that they brought in Stronghold 2 with the estates, and yeah, it's cool that they tried it, but I feel like they haven't really perfected it. I feel like we should have more control over these Warlords or estates to make them more integrated. Like, why can we not build our own defenses in these estates? Like, that'd be fun, that'd be cool. So, you know, I'm not a huge fan, especially when it comes to diplomatic takeover. If you wanted to take over an estate diplomatically, it'd be almost impossible to keep it for a long time because enemy would start spamming the diplomacy takeover option, and that was pain in the ass too. And I think one of the bigger gripes I have with this game is defense. I mean, up till this game, defenses actually meant something. You could set up defense lines, you could set up towers, you could defend against enemy waves, and it actually felt like defending. And in this game, first couple defenses, yeah, sure, I mean, defenses will work. But eventually, when the enemy starts using siege, it's pointless. I mean, almost every piece of siege equipment can outrange your archers, your crossbowmen, and even if they are not outranged, they don't do enough damage, because the mass armies that enemy gathers, because you know they can keep spamming them, and well, you can't really do that the same thing. Felt like, what's the point of defending if I can just rush, finish off one guy, another guy, have more units, because limitation, once again, it hits hard. So yeah, it almost felt like there aren't really too many options for your strategies in this game. One of the strategies I used was trebuchets, very slow, grindy way of playing, and another one was using fire towers, which was actually much faster, and it helped me. But honestly, it felt like there were only two strategies in the game, and not really much to choose from. So honestly, I wish I could put this game, especially since it's so unique. I mean, it's Stronghold, it has Stronghold DNA, but the first at least few missions don't even feel like Stronghold, because you're playing in this Japanese setting or Chinese setting. It felt cool at first, but it kind of goes away quickly. So I wish I was able to put this game higher. I wish I was able to put it at A, but no, definitely not. B at best. Maybe even borderline C, probably not as bad. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but yeah, definitely can't go higher than B. Now the remaster of the first Stronghold game. Honestly, it has everything the old game had and more. To be fair, some content, a big portion of the new content they added to the game is a filler. I mean, come on, mission with the wolves, where you have to get from point A on the map to point B on the map, and in between you have a bunch of wolves, and you have to use 5 archers to clear the whole entire forest by doing one step forward, clearing a few wolves, then doing another step forward. I mean, that is definitely not fun. That's even worse than siege missions, and there were plenty of those in the DLCs, in the new added content, but there were some good ones, good missions too, so I can't really blame them too hard. So honestly, because the last game was at B, although it could be at A, I mean, it's borderline A and B, depends how big of a nostalgia you feel for that game. I would say that this is definitely an improvement. They added some quality of life improvements. They made the game a little bit more accessible when it comes to some of the features, some of the mechanics, made it much better. So I would definitely rate this S. I think it deserves to have S, because it has everything you need in the game, really. Like, it is a fairly well polished game with just some filler missions, but I still liked it a lot. Graphically, story is the same, so you know, everything is the same formula, just better. So I lied. I said I played every Stronghold game. I didn't play Stronghold Castles. I believe this game came out literally a year or so ago, but it's a mobile game, and you know what I think about mobile games. They deserve to be in garbage. They should not exist. And the last game is Crusader Definitive Edition. So, to be fair, I haven't played this much. I only played 2 missions in this, the new missions. I haven't tried the co-op trail, but to be fair, this game should be the same situation, should be the same case as Stronghold Definitive Edition, the first game remaster. They probably just took everything that was good, that worked fine, and they added more content. They added a little bit more, so you had more things to do. If I remember correctly, there's 20 new missions, a new trail, Sands of Time. Actually, that's a different type of a trail. It has a different mechanic attached to it, so that's also something new to the game. Not something major, but new little thing, you know, to enjoy. Plus, there's a co-op trail, which I'm definitely gonna cover on my channel once my friend is free to play. So yeah, I think this game definitely deserves to be an S, unless there are issues I'm not aware of, unless there are some game-breaking bugs, but I believe they are gonna be patched, they're gonna be fixed fairly soon, so it shouldn't be a huge problem for a long time. So this is my rating for each game. Crusader, definitive edition for the first game, definitive edition for Crusader are all in S tier. I don't have anything in A tier, but if I could, I probably would move Stronghold 1 to it. Stronghold 2 and Legends definitely would deserve to be in A if they had better performance. But all of them now, they belong in B in my opinion, along with Crusader 2, which also is for the same reason in there, because it has just very horrible performance. Stronghold Warlords, I would say it even borders between B and C, because it looks good, but yeah, it just lacks something. Stronghold 3, probably not everyone is gonna agree with me. They're probably gonna put it into G, but I think it has something that had potential, but it was wasted. So just because I liked some of the things in that game, I put it to C. I put Crusader Extreme to D because I didn't play it. Because I tried it, it was too hard, it was too much. I cannot rate it fairly, so some of you probably would say it belongs higher, but I think it belongs in D because it was just too much for me to handle. And then of course mobile game and mobile/browser game belong in garbage. So this is how I rate the whole series of Stronghold. So let me know, guys, what you rate these games. Do you agree with my ratings? Do you think something belongs somewhere else? Maybe I'm super wrong about something. Maybe I don't know something. I mean, I might have missed some things too. Plus, I haven't played multiplayer, which probably is a fairly decent portion of these games, so my rating might not be accurate. And also, it'd be cool to know which game you guys think is the best. Did you like Crusader the best? I would assume most people will say that. And what do you think about the new one? What do you think about definitive edition? Also guys, if you want to check out how I played these games, all of these games except for mobile games, if you want to check out and watch my calm, relaxing playthroughs with commentary, go check out my channel. Go check out, there are all of the playlists for each game. So go check them out and maybe you'll see something I missed. But for now, thanks for watching.